Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Rohan Joshi, who is the founder of Wolken Software, which is an enterprise SaaS operating in the domain of ITSM and customer service. Hi, Rohan. Welcome to ELI.
Thanks, Priya. Pleasure to be here.
To start with, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a bit about your pre-entrepreneurial journey. Like, where were you born and brought up? Where did you study, and which all companies did you work for before starting this venture? And was there a glimpse of entrepreneurship before you became a full-time entrepreneur?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Rohan Joshi. I am a Bangalorean. Was born and brought up in Bangalore, in some of the old areas of Bangalore, like Sheshadripuram and Kumara Park. So I spent close to, my schooling was Baldwin's. I went to Baldwin's school, did my ICSC. Afterwards, I did my pre-university in MES College in Malleshwaram. And then I joined BMS College of Engineering for my, it was a 10-semester program at that time, 5 years, 10 semester. So I joined BMS College of Engineering in 1979. Wow. I don't think most of you were even thought of around then.
Yeah.
So, that was my year that I joined engineering. And I graduated with honors from BMS College in 1984. And my main subject was electronics. At that time, it was a simple electronics course. There was no software, nothing of that sort. So that was in 1984. So wow. That was where I started. Post which, I went to Germany, which is a very unusual destination for Indian students to go for their master's program. Typically, people went to US, Canada, and UK during that time. But in my case, it was Germany for a reason that I had studied both French and German. And so I wanted to understand what this engineering spirit was all about. Because at the end of the day, the engineering programs from India are largely theoretical, and there is a very small part which is practical. In Germany, it's just the reverse. It's majority of it is theory. They say, you read about it, but it was majorly by doing. So that was what kind of drew me to that program. And it, they likened like what you have in IIMs in India. It's not called a master's, but it's a postgraduate diploma in engineering. Okay. So that's basically what I did. It's actually a master. If you translate it into English, it's a master's program. But essentially, I did my degree is postgraduate diploma in engineering. And here, it was more about hardware. So it was basically what is called the bills of materials. So how do you reach a BOM stage in any manufacturing industry, which has, mechanical as well as electronics. So today, those fields are called mechatronics, which is both mechanical and electronics engineering. So that was my postgraduate diploma. That was completed in 1986, again with honors. And my campus job was with Phillips. Phillips Electronics, as it was called back then. So I was with Phillips from 1986 to 1991. And I spent 90% of my time in Netherlands, which is where Phillips is from, and 10% in the UK. So in the 6 years that I was with them, actually I joined them in 1985 end. So in the 6 years that I was with them, 4.5 years were in Netherlands and 1.5 in the UK with Phillips. And it was purely a technical role in what is called IoT today. But back then it was called embedded systems. So that was where I had my, early days. In 1991, I decided that I would like to come back to India. And the reason was a little personal, but so I said, let's come back to India. So I came back to India and met a very enlightened gentleman who had already started creating waves in India. So the gentleman was none other than Nandan Nilekani, currently chairman of Infosys. And, people may know him as the guy who gave identity to 1 billion Indians through Aadhaar. So he interviewed me and he put me in front of another iconic leader, Mr. Narayan Murthy. And to my luck, they both liked me and they said, the job is yours. However, it's a more commercial and management kind of a role, which I had never done before. And they said the other thing is you'll have to go back to Europe. So, but the good thing was I was now working for an Indian company, but based in Europe, which was okay by me. So I still had my roots in India. And, I worked with Infosys from 1991 till 2000. So in 2000, I decided I wanted to try something different. I was, into quite a lot of sales and marketing of services, software services, which was what India was becoming famous for back then.
Right.
And I said, okay, let me try my hand at software products, which, India was not famous for back then. So I joined this company called iFlex, which was a banking software company. And I worked with them for 3 years. I was responsible again here for sales and marketing and business operations of iFlex in a new territory, which is Latin America and Caribbean. The job was based in Bangalore, but I had to travel, which was again fairly acceptable to me in the sense that, family was growing and, they needed me around and all that stuff. But the job was exciting because there were very few templates on how to do sales and marketing in a product company, which is very different from services.
Right.
So that was a exciting journey, 2001 to 2004. But then, the management then had asked me to move to Latin America to make a bigger success of it, because they saw that this travel bit is not scalable. And, whilst you may get 1 or 2 customers per year, if the company has ambitions to grow beyond, they would like somebody in the territory. Now, Latin America was not a place where I wanted to go and live. I mean, it's a nice place to go and, visit and sell and, do a lot of other things, but not live there because my daughter was growing and I didn't want disruption in her education. So I decided I will quit, and I joined a very iconic engineering company called Larsen and Toubro, L&T.
Yeah.
And L&T that time had a technology division called L&T Infotech, which did both engineering software as well as enterprise software. And they said, okay, you can sort of live in India and work in Europe, or live in Europe and work there. But it's all about building business for Larsen and Toubro Infotech in Europe. So I worked with them for 7 years, between 2004 and 2011. Now, this is the interesting thing. This is where the idea of my my startup came about.
Mm.
So we were very successful, Wolken, and I met my co-founder there as well in Infosys, in L&T.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Sudhir Prabhu, and he was looking after the Oracle uh, practice, and I was responsible for Europe. And in Europe, mainly SAP was the enterprise software that
Mm.
enterprises were using for ERP. So we both used to exchange notes very frequently whenever I visited India or Sudhir came to Europe.
Mm.
And we found that we were doing a lot of services around SAP and
Mm.
not, yeah, we were doing, SAP as well in terms of implementation and implementing modules, etc. But there was a significant amount of revenue that we were earning around it. And when I say around it, I mean what is today called ITSM and customer service. At that time, was not embedded within the SAP or Oracle ERP framework.
Mm.
And we were using tools like Remedy and various others. And we were making a lot of money as providing services on that. But
Mm-hmm.
when you think about it, we said, really, should enterprises be spending this amount of money? And when I say enterprises, I mean large banks, insurance companies, etc. So Sudhi, I sort of said, why don't we step out and build our product? Because we know what the problem statement is. Enterprises have issues which on the software products that they use regularly, which is largely ERP,
Mm-hmm.
and the issues need to get resolved by engineers. And the methodology of doing this is costing sometimes more than the ERP itself. So there is something that we can disrupt here.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, we set about what we are doing today. However, when we started in 2011, which was when Wolken was kind of born, sometime in the month of September.
Mm.
The idea was hijacked by another phenomenon that was happening in the market. But I'll pause now to, you know, go into the next segment.
Yeah. So before you move into the next one, I'll just go a little off track now. Such a long career, probably 2.5 decade long career, after which most of the people get drained of all the energies and all the passion they have. How could you come up with the idea of building a venture and again going to the hustle mode?
So, yeah, I think, if I would have remained in the corporate world, I would have retired about 10 years ago.
Mm.
So, we needed to reinvent ourselves. And this is something that I had done in the past. I was a pure play engineer. I reinvented myself, became a sales and marketing guy, reinvented myself, went into products, reinvented again, and said, okay, let's sell technology services along with the enterprise. And then, I said, okay, here is the white space that is available. So let's try and do something with it. So that was what has kept us going till now.
Okay.
So that's where the energy comes from, in trying to do something new, in something exciting, and something that clients want. So the third one is very important, because we can dream and do a lot of things, but if there is no market for it, then there is no fun element in the entire pursuit.
Right.
So that's why Wolken came about, because we saw white space in the market, and we said, okay, let's try and do something. And at that time, I'm talking about 2011 now, the entire talk was around this thing called cloud. because nobody believed, trusted, and assumed that it would work. In fact, they had written it off even before it got started. So, Amazon and others were trying to push it, but IBM at that time was pretty big in cloud. IBM, Amazon, and certain telco providers were trying to kind of bring about it. I mean, all they were doing was creating virtual machines and saying this is cloud. But as we know today, cloud is a lot more than just having infrastructure or virtual machines. So that was essentially what drove us to it, because we said we could free enterprise from paying a lot of, let's say, license fees and AMCs by moving into a SaaS mode. SaaS as a term was just about invented back then in 2011. So we said, let's do something around SaaS. So that's why we started working on Wolken.
Got it. Speaking of SaaS, let's put our SaaS hats now. And every SaaS today is trying to solve one particular problem for a enterprise.
Yeah.
So, if speaking on that terms, what would you say is the exact problem Wolken Software is solving right now?
Okay. So Wolken is an enterprise class B2B SaaS company in the customer service space. Now, customers can be internal to the enterprise, or customers can be external to the enterprise. Right. When they are internal to the enterprise, the product is an ITSM product. And it's a service management tool, a help desk ticketing tool. But it goes more than that. It not only resolves your IT issues, it resolves a lot of other issues around, let's say, your HR issues, your admin issues, finance issues, or your logistics issues. So it kind of goes, it's an issue resolving mechanism and tool is what we have. So sometimes this is when it's internal to the enterprise. When it's external to the enterprise, it's a very simple thing. It's a customer service tool. You as an enterprise are selling either a product or a service. And this product or a service, if there is some issue with it, then the customer needs a channel to communicate back with the enterprise and get a resolution for it. So, everybody wants to do it faster, better, cheaper. So that is essentially the crux of how a success can be defined in this particular space. So that is the issue that we are resolving. You asked for statistics at the beginning. So let me tell you that the entire, I'm talking about both internal as well as external now, the ITSM plus customer service market. The market together is about close to $80 to $85 billion globally, annually. So it's a large market. It's not a small market. There are certain markets which are small, but then, they're growing fast, like RPA, which is robotic process automation. That's today a small market, but it's growing rapidly. This market is 80 to 85 billion annually, global market, and it's still growing because there are problems which require solving within the enterprise and outside. So that's basically the statistics of our market. It's a very large market. It's got quite a number of players, but players kind of define themselves. Some of them are a B2C market-oriented players. So they have large number of customers, but revenue is very small from each of those customers. Whereas guys like us, do not have, say, thousands or 2,000 customers. We
Mhm.
are happy with 100, 200, or 300. And but the net realization per customer is fairly large. So that's how we define our market.
Mm.
So it's there are players. Majority of the in our space are directing themselves in the B2C space, whereas the B2B space is dominated by maybe 5 or 6 large players and about 3 or 4 challengers like that. So that's how our market is demographically defined.
Got it. Speaking of the players in the market, can you tell us how do we differentiate among all the players? Like the Zendesk is the most popular platform of on this space, and there are some Indian counterparts like Zoho Desk and Freshdesk. How do
Yeah.
we kind of differentiate against them? And also, if you can shed light on the modules and functionalities of our platform.
So very good question. Now, the 3 names that you mentioned are commonly focused the small and medium enterprise segment and the mid-market segment. So that is essential. And when I say small and medium enterprises, these enterprises would have revenues from, say, $5 million to about, say, $500 million. And the mid-size segment could be $500 million to about $2 billion. So that is their market. That is about, if you look at each of these 3 that you mentioned, and if you go deeper into their annual report and management statements, you'll find that about 90% of their customers are in this segment and maybe 10% in the large segment. So guys like ServiceNow, Salesforce, and us, and there are a few others as well, their focus is typically on Fortune customers. So that is their primary focus. Secondary, yes, a couple of customers are in the space that Zoho and Zendesk and others handle. But our primary focus is Fortune 500 and mainly the Fortune 200 in that. Whereas our competitors, their primary focus is on, sub Fortune 500, which is why they have a large customer base. And guys in the top segment, I mean, the Fortune is, as the term suggests, having 200 or 300 clients in that Fortune 500 itself is pretty useful from a net revenue realization perspective.
Right.
So the other point that I hope that the segmentation is clear.
Yeah.
Now the other point that you mentioned is the modules. Well, modules are typically your incident management, service request, change management, problem management, IT capacity management. And then you have what is called configuration management database, which is the enterprise asset management, availability management. So these are a couple of modules which enterprise have. And there's a subset layer below that, which is the knowledge base. So typically when enterprise wants to resolve issues, without clients having to, key in or call in or, bought in their tickets. If the client has access to the knowledge base, then he or she knows that, okay, this problem has occurred in the past. And by using the knowledge base, I can resolve this issue without raising a ticket. If that issue is not resolved, then I raise a ticket. See, because the most critical aspect in our business is the mean time to resolution, MTTR. Now, typically during the mainframe and the monolithic days of BMC Remedy and others, the mean time to resolution could be anywhere between 8 hours and 5 days. And today, the mean time for resolution, even for a large enterprise, has come down to hours. And of course, in the consumer market, it has to be seconds, if not minutes, because otherwise you've lost the customer. Whereas in our market, they're a little more, patient, and they give you a few hours to resolve a ticket. So that is essentially, some of the differentiators in terms of what we have and what our clients have. Now, you asked, what is the other differentiator within the market? Each vendor has got certain hotspots, and for us, it is essentially the faster resolution of issues. So we measure our success on we have this tagline which says simple, scalable, and secure. So in each of these three vectors, we are trying to sort of use technology to make the product even simpler, and to make use infrastructure and platforms to make it scalable, and use tools which are either open source or even inbuilt tools to make your product very, very secure. So simple, scalable, and secure is our tagline and our mantra, and that is precisely what we are trying to follow. So that is basically how we are tackling the market today.
Got it. So one more question around it. Would like to understand a little bit about the key account driven business model. Like how do you get clients? What's the typical sales cycle? How do you make changes to the product based on customers' suggestions? And so many of the SaaS companies now, they try to make one product fits all approach, and they try to go after the SMB market like you mentioned. But tell us about the approach you have taken.
Okay, in the enterprise market, virtually you can say about 80% of the product fits everybody. So we have very large enterprise. We have 45 clients right now, of which about 5 of them are in the Fortune 100 space, and the rest are, after 100 towards 500. Both we cover both the 100 and 500. So in our 45 clients, 80% of the product is the same code bases, the same everything. It's only the 20%, and even in that 20%, about 10% is reasonably similar. There is we have something called configurable products. So we don't have to customize it, but configurability actually makes the product different. And the last 5% is essentially where, during implementation, we do exactly what the customer wants, because sometimes they want the logo on the right, they want a different color. It's all depending on their product, look and feel across the enterprise, because it goes as their product, powered by us. Right. So that is how it is. So as I said, 80% is absolutely similar across the client base. About 10% is configurable, and the last 5% is what we customize during implementation. So that's essentially how it works.
Okay. My final question, in a very short way, or in probably 1 or 2 sentences, tell us, what is entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
For me, it's freedom. It's free to sort of do quite a lot of stuff that I always wanted to do. But in a large enterprise, when you're working with a services company where there are about 100,000 people working with you, that becomes difficult. Whereas today, I can actually listen to a client and or listen to somebody within the company when they say, we want to bring in this feature because we think this is going to revolutionize the world. 7 out of 10 times we may be wrong, but the 3 times that we are right gives us a lot of thrill, enjoyment, and a kick, adrenaline rush to say that, okay, we are going to change the way people work. So that's something that drives us.
Well, thanks for joining us, Rohan. It was a pleasure to have you
Thank
on
you.
our platform, and our best wishes
Thanks,
for
Priya.
Wolken.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you very much, and great being on this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.